Okay, so we're going to use the formula sheet. Yours should look just like this one to calculate the area of some shapes. Okay, so we're going to apply the formula from the formula sheet for the area of a triangle to find the area of the triangle that I have provided for you. So let's take a look at the different markings. Alright, so on the formula sheet triangle, we have a B labeled and an H labeled. So on our triangle, let's identify those two things. So I'm going to say that 12 is the H in the formula, and these 5s are going to be the base, but put together. So 5 plus 5 is 10. So now let's take a look at the whole formula. We have area equals 1/2, and then there's an imaginary multiplication symbol between the 1/2, the B, and the H. So I have 1/2 times 10 times 12. And just like any other multiplication problem, it doesn't matter the order in which you do multiplication. So I can take 1/2 times 10, which is 5, and then 5 times 12 is 60. Or I could have taken 1/2 of 12, which is 6, times 10, which is also 60. Or I could have done 10 times 12, which is 120, times 1/2, which is 60. So it does not matter the order in which you do this multiplication. A lot of people, instead of multiplying by the half, like to say they're dividing by 2, and that is okay as well. Let's just take a look at our units. Well, there's no measurement unit of inches, feet, whatever, so we're going to use the word unit, and it's going to be unit squared. For this next one, I'm going to take a look at all 3 of the formulas that I have listed, the square, the rectangle, and the parallelogram, because the formulas are very, very close to each other. Alright, so let's take a look at these two. We have a square and I have a rectangle. The top one, the square, the blue one, has a side length of 3. And because it's a square, that also means that all of the sides of this square are 3. So, if I'm using the formula side squared, so let's talk about side squared. S squared means S times S. So in this case, 3 times 3 is going to give me 9 centimeters squared. The rectangle has the side lengths of 2 and 7, and the formula tells me I'm doing length times width. So 2 times 7 is 14 centimeters squared. Alright, so let's take a look at the last shape. I drew a parallelogram. Yeah, I know, it's not the greatest parallelogram in the world, but we're going to pretend that it looks like the one from the formula sheet. And we need to find the area. So we're going to use base times height. So we need to identify in this parallelogram that I drew what the base and height numbers are. So if we look here at the original diagram, we have the height as this dotted line inside. And the base meets the height at this 90-degree angle. So where in our parallelogram does that happen? It happens here where 2 meets 4. So those are the numbers that we use in the formula. So 2 times 4 gives us 8, and it would be centimeters squared still because it's area. Alright, so here we have a trapezoid, and the trapezoid formula is a little bit more complex than the other formulas, so I'm going to use some highlighting to figure out the parts. So on the formula, we have a base 1 and a base 2. So the base 1 and the base 2 are the sides of the parallelogram that are parallel to each other. So those 2 I just highlighted in green. I'm going to do the same thing on the other one. So then we also have a height. And the height is what connects those 2 bases, those 2 parallel sides. And those are the values that we're going to need for the formula. So notice on our picture that we do not need the 8 centimeters and the 8 centimeters on either side. We would need those if we were finding the perimeter, but we're only finding area. So let's copy the formula down and plug in what we have. We have area equals 1/2 times the height of 6 times base 1 plus base 2. Sorry, I didn't like my multiplication symbol. So base 1 and base 2 are 8 and 16. Now, we do have to take into consideration our order of operations. What's inside the parentheses needs to be done first. So I'm going to rewrite the formula. Area equals 1/2 times 6 times 8 plus 16, which is 24. Now, if you remember me saying it doesn't matter the order in which you do multiplication, it becomes a little bit easier to do in your head. So if I take half of 24, I get 12. And then 12 times 6 is 72. So our answer is 72 centimeters squared would be the area of this trapezoid. So if you're still not sure about area, go ahead and rewatch some of the clips that I have in here of the different shapes that we looked at. Next, we're going to take a look at perimeter. So here I have a rectangle, and it has the side lengths of 7 feet and 10 feet, and I want to find the perimeter. So down here is the formula for a rectangle, and the perimeter says 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. So when you're finding perimeter of a shape, you just want to remember that you're looking for the outside edge. Not what's inside, but what's on the outside. So 7 plus 10 plus 7 plus 10. Which gives you 28 feet. So here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to look at the shape that I've just given you and then look at the formula sheet and go, ah, I can't believe it. Miss Haynes gave me a shape that's not on this formula sheet. How in the world am I going to figure out perimeter? Well, perimeter's easy. Remember, it's just that outside edge. So on this shape, 3 plus 1 plus 1 plus 3 plus 2. That's how you're going to find perimeter. So again, it's 3 plus 1 plus 1 plus 3 plus 2. So let's do some math. 3 plus 1 is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So our perimeter is 10 inches. Notice it's not 10 inches squared. Just always remember that perimeter is the outside of the shape. Has nothing to do with any numbers that a worksheet or IXL or Miss Haynes throws in the middle of the shape. It's just the ones on the outside. That's all I have for area and perimeter.